It has done so much for me. I've lost so much weight. I've got so much energy. If you've not tried it, or Brain Force, or Super Male Vitality, or Lung Cleanse, or Silver Bullet. But Jeremy in Kansas, I want you to hear this caller, was saying that we're in danger of being a fascist paradigm compared to the leftist paradigm. So I want you to hear what Jeremy, Joe Biggs, has to say from Kansas. Jeremy, go ahead and make your point.
Yes, just tying up the solutions to the global warming debate.
No. Hold on. I don't screen your calls, but you said you wanted to get into us being in danger of promoting fascism, basically. So I want you to specifically not get into your solutions for global warming. I don't think there's solutions to global warming. It's not happening. That's another show. I really want you to respond to the claim that you think we're becoming fascist. Go ahead.
Okay. I do want to show respect for the fact that in my days with WEARECHANGE LA, I always felt personally respected by you, and I have learned a lot and have been inspired by you, especially from your terror storm days. But what I've seen in the last few years, and it's really becoming clear with the reporting on the Paris attacks, is really a going backwards into the lower levels of what's actually going on here. And, of course, there are cultural Marxists that are being funded by the Ford Foundation, but there are also cultural fascists that you appear to have aligned yourself that are funded by people like the Kochs or Heritage and that type of thing.
Listen, stop right there. Stop right there, because I'm going to let you make your points. I've never gotten 1 red cent from the Koch brothers. I've had big reporters on, like Greg Palast, who's a liberal, saying the Kochs have given more money to the Democrats they have Republicans. That's all more figments of the imagination. I don't get any money from big oil, any money from coal, any money from anybody. Take Matt Drudge. Matt Drudge is funded by advertising money by the left, the right, you name it, through ad agencies that buy ads on the internet. It's like Google ads. I mean, it's just crazy to just throw out there that, oh, you've aligned yourself with people, the Koch brothers. Oh, my gosh, yes, the Koch brothers. Give me a break. So, see, here's what I'm saying. Something like 9/11 that clearly has inside job written all over it, we expose. But then when they create a real jihad army and turn it loose and open our borders to flood us and have big foundations demonizing anyone that points out they're dissolving sovereignty, I'm against it. Okay, there are real jihadis coming into Syria and now into Europe and the United States. They really are killing people. They really did tell our reporters, get out of here. You're not allowed to be on the streets of Brussels, Belgium, okay? I don't like any type of totalitarianism, whether it was Nazis or Black Lives Matter or radical Arabs. So specifically, how am I going backwards? How am I engaged in fascism? I want to know. Go ahead.
Yes, that's why I'm calling you and not calling Glenn Beck, because I have faith in the goodness of your heart.
Listen, brother, I'm for real. I just want to hear specifically how you think I'm wrong.
Okay, let's deal with September 11th. What I've seen since the days of terror wars is the people who continue to do research in September 11th have found that the core of the September 11th operation led to the core of the deep states of the U.S. and Israel. If Saudi Arabia had any involvement in it, it was about supplying nationals to be blamed as patsies. The Israelis framed them, and the U.S. protected them. But at the core of the operation are buildings being blown up from the inside, including the Pentagon, where people are being targeted who are in able danger and accountants looking for missing trillions. You know, and so this attack in Paris has all the earmarks of Operation Gladio continuing forward into the 21st century. And if you look at the history of terrorism, modern terrorism, the Israelis are at the heart of it with the King David hotel bombing, where they were willing to kill Jews in the name of the Zionist project, but also through NATO and U.S. CIA intelligence.
Sure. Let me expand on all this. I exposed 9/11 before it happened. I exposed it the day it happened. And I know that there are different camps that want to blame this group or that group. There are criminal networks above Western governments that clearly, bare minimum, stood down on 9/11, clearly blew up Building 7, clearly involved. We are the main drivers of exposing all of that. We're now 14 years later, though. When the public turns away from a subject, I still cover it, still have guests on. routinely. But I don't get bullied. I'm not talking about callers like you, but other people that call up and say, you better have me on about this, you better cover that, you better cover space beams, all the rest of it. I am not a 9/11 only person. Most people know about Operation Ajax or Gladio or Northwoods because of me. Okay, I was the one that exposed it all when it took the most heat to do it. I'm the person that lost most of my affiliates and then, of course, gained them back 14 years ago when I wouldn't shut up about 9/11. So I've been there, done that. Specifically, though, you don't need to launch an Operation Gladio where you stage terror attacks and then frame communists so NATO has an excuse to expand control in Europe when you've brought in real jihadis to do it. And so that's my point. This is a false flag, but the most rudimentary type, because the West created the climate and the conditions to bring in people they knew would do this. Joe Biggs, your take on what he's saying?
Well, with the entire attack, like I said, I've fought these people overseas. They're real. Imagine growing up in an area where you're being bombed. That creates terrorism. Those people hate us. They hate so many people out there. The fact that France is now bombing only adds to the hate. There are real terrorists out there. And when people, all they want to do is bring up the fact that, well, don't you mean CIA instead of ISIS? Don't you mean the U.S. government? Yeah, they helped kickstart the whole thing off. It's just like anything. You can have a child, you can create something. But then when it gets older, guess what? It's going to have a mind of its own and do exactly whatever it wants. So yes, we funded them to an extent. And yes, they're allowing things to happen. But guess what? There's a group of guys in Syria and Iraq who probably don't know anything about that. They're just angry and pissed off about what's going on, and they're being sucked into this entire lifestyle, and they feel like they're fighting for something. So every time I hear that, it just gets under my skin. I can't stand it. You're so,
ISIS
like, when people do that, it's so one-tracked.
Exactly. ISIS Magazine a few months ago came out and attacked InfoWars, and then they put you in their videos, Biggs, they hate you. I've been putting some of their literature, and they said, you know, we do not work for CIA. Do not listen to them, because the fact that we're exposing that the West is setting up Muslims to fall is hurting their recruiting. They admit the number one thing hurting their recruiting is the fact that we're pointing out that they're being set up. Okay,
I did a report 8 months ago with a grandmother in Syria, and she's riding around, and these ISIS guys are kind of patrolling around in their Sharia law area, telling everybody what they can or can't do, and they were yelling at the older lady because she didn't have her face fully covered. And she goes, I know that you're getting your money from the USA. Stop letting them control you. And the ISIS guy goes, yes, we get stuff from America. I mean, so we know that. We're beyond that. We don't have to say that every time. We're here, boots on the ground, giving people live updates about what's going on.
Exactly.
I can't spend all day focusing on the fact that the CIA helped that out. Okay, we know. Everybody knows who watches
We've
this
said
show.
it. We've made films. We talk about it constantly. And I notice the more we do shows about 9/11, the more the 9/11 police write articles and call us and say we're not doing enough, like they've terrorized us into covering it or something. Look, we covered it constantly. I'm not mad at Jeremy bringing this up. I'm talking about other people. We're actually trying to stop a clash of civilizations. Dick Cheney wrote the PNAC document with Jeb Bush a year before 9/11, rebuilding America's defenses. Just type it in. You can read it on Scribs or Wikipedia. They took their website down a few years ago. Used to be the Neocon network, had it out there. They explain we're going to finance radical Muslims, have them attack us, then we can invade them. Clash of civilizations. We're trying to stop the clash of civilizations where they're putting ISIS pit bulls in our nursery room to maul our babies so they can then point us at Assad, who's innocent, to go take his government out. That's what's happening. Jeremy, you have 1 minute to respond, then I'm going to break, coming back with more calls.
Okay, thank you. Of course, there are, Takfiri, Salafist, Wahhabi cultists who are involved in this, at least for being blamed for it, and probably were involved in the operation. However, we know that that was actually a bulwark of the British Empire's creation of a counter gang against the Arab Muslim world. In terms of countering the fascist cultural potentials with this story, you could have your reporters really dig in on the drill that was running on the morning of that. These allegations of this indestructible passport is exactly the same as September 11th. Instead of going this route of immigration, which plays into the hands of the police state. And you see Donald Trump being critiqued by Reason back here in the United States of America for basically empowering...
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Jeremy,
I appreciate your call. Let me counter that.
I got to say this.
We expose we're done. We expose almost every day that Saudi Arabia was created by British intelligence. We did it yesterday with Dr. Pachenik. We've popularized all that. Separately, this was a general anti-terrorism drill ahead of the UN summit coming up, not at the exact place, exact time. That's different. And this passport with a suicide bomb being found is not the same as 2 passports and a fireball being found. It is not exactly the same. It's not even in the same universe. And I'm not arguing with you. I just don't agree with the statements you're making. We'll be right back. Stay with us.